You're listening to the Hypnotic Empath, and I'm your host, Robyn Holm. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, a BodyTalk practitioner, and an empowered empath with over 2 decades of experience helping sensitive souls like you reconnect with your power. This podcast is a space for deep healing, subconscious transformation, and real-world support. We'll do some guided hypnotherapy sessions, we'll talk to some incredible guests, and we'll help you learn to release what isn't yours, to protect your energy, and to finally feel safe being you. It's time to move from surviving to thriving. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the Hypnotic Empath. I am your host, Robyn Holm, and I'm here with my dear friend, Emily. Emily, I would love if you would introduce yourself a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, hi, Robyn. It's so nice to see you and hear you. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm super honored to be on your podcast. And I always think, what if people want to hear from me? But I guess it's time to just start talking,
Yeah.
And so introduce myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily. Lots of people call me Em. I am a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur. I just left a thriving hair career after 15 years to just step into the unknown and take a leap of faith because my intuition was just shouting so loudly at me that it was time to let go and put down the scissors. And now I'm working more in social media and I'm working with linking awareness, and I'm just about to release my second Oracle deck.
Okay, so many things I want to ask you just from that introduction. Emily used to do my hair, and I loved when I would come for any kind of hair with you, and we would just hang out and chat, and it was always such a pleasure to be in your presence. And it was a thriving business. Like, you were well known in the hair industry from the time that you started. So what was it that called you to put down the scissors and step into the unknown?
That's a great question. It just was this like tugging at my heart that just kind of kept coming up. And it took me a few years to really answer the call. I finally had set a parameter and I said, if there's an opportunity that invites me and it's a full body yes, I've just got to do it. It was just little by little, I started noticing how physically, mentally, and emotionally tired I was. At the end of each week, I was only doing hair part-time, and it was so taxing on me in every way. And the more I really started to tune into myself and listen to that, it was like, I think you're done.
Wow.
And then that parameter that I had asked for, put out into the field, it came so out of the blue. And at first I was like, well, I can't do both. And then my husband, he just looks at me one day, he's like, let's quit hair, man. And I was like, oh, that, here it is.
I could do that.
Yeah. And so after lots of tears and Loop talking about it, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I said yes to the opportunity with Good Livin, and I started to say goodbye to hair.
So what are you doing now with Good Livin?
So now I am in a social media manager role, content creation, little creative direction, and I'm just working alongside of Brett and Jay to just have a blast, create fun content, marketing, all of that juicy goodness that I just love so much.
You are incredibly magnetic online. I love your videos. I love hearing you talk. I love the couple of seconds and minutes that we get to spend together when you're doing stories. So I just love that you're doing that. So the question I have for you is, do you identify as an empath?
Definitely.
Okay. What does that mean for you?
Oh, it means when I walk into a room, I can feel everyone. And sometimes before I even get there. And I used to not know what that meant for a long time. It'd be like, whoa, why do I just feel low? And then bless my mom, because she has helped me so much on this path and just really helped me anchor into what it means to be an empath and how to deal with it and how to set protections up for myself and how to remove myself and all of it. Being an empath just means like super feeler in and out.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah. So how do you use that gift?
When I was doing hair, I used to use it a lot with my clients. I would sit with them at the beginning of each appointment, we'd have a consult, and I really just like feel how I felt sitting beside them, feel into the words that were coming out. Were there words in alignment with how I was feeling once they hit me? So now I kind of do the same. It snowballs out into your life. I probably was doing it before my clients, but having the clientele in the hair world really helped me hone that gift. I would like to call it a gift of being an empath, because I feel it's like a little superpower.
I couldn't agree more. I say that all the time. And I find that it really becomes a superpower once you learn to train it a little bit and you learn to put in your protections. So before you knew how to train it, did it affect you negatively in any way?
Oh, for sure. I would feel like just feelings of draining my energy and energy leak, people pulling from me where I should have just lovingly set a boundary. I really learned a huge lesson near the end of my hair career when I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't have a strong enough protection set up around myself. I took on that story. That's not my feeling. Those aren't mine. And once I learned to disassociate or let those go and back into the earth or however you do it, it was a huge helper for me.
Life-changing. So how do you let go when you figure out that you're holding something that isn't yours?
Whew. Well, I work with St. Germain's Violet Flame a lot and actually got that tattooed on me. So first and foremost, you can envision a white light or whatever, but I like to work with St. Germain's Violet Flame, dispel the negative, let it go, or I'll zip my energy up. My mom taught me that one years ago before I go into a room or I'm somewhere where there's lots of different energies that maybe I could feel, maybe I couldn't, just to zip myself up first. And if I had forgotten to do those things and I started to feel it, depending on where I am, sometimes it's just like a quick deep breath, let it go out my feet into the earth. At the end of the day, I love to use water a lot. So in the shower, visualization has been really huge for me in just letting it go, getting rid of it.
Like washing it away as the shower is coming down over your head, just watching it go down the drain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And so when you say you work with St. Germain's Violet Flame, could you like walk us through what that looked like?
So for me, I would just go into stillness or however you want to call it, close my eyes. I like to envision it as this violet flame starting at my feet, engulfing around my whole entire body up into the point of the flame. And then all of its bright light just shooting out and acting as like a shield for me.
Wow.
So anything that's incoming that's not supposed to penetrate bounces off back into the field of oneness, not back at the person, not back at any place or thing, but just back out. And that's like it.
I can feel that. That is really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So then if you've forgotten to do your flame and you've forgotten to zip yourself up and you do feel like you're taking on stuff, so then you just ask, is this mine or is this somebody else's?
Yeah, sometimes. And, like the more I gotten in touch with my inner self and my empathic self, my empathic body, it happens quicker. So at first it would be like, oh, whose is this? Is it mine? And then I have to really center myself and like go inward for a minute. But now, as we progress, I'm pretty good at being like, oh, that's not mine. I feel great today.
Oh, I love that so much.
Or it can, how it can even come on as someone super joyful and wonderful and magnetic walks into the room and you're like, you're feeling kind of crappy. But then you can be like, that's really nice. I'd like to adopt a little bit of that. And then you can let that feeling of amazingness ripple into you. And, so I like to say like, not all empath like negative feelings. Sometimes it's like, wow, that was wonderful.
We can take on
I'll
the
embody a
positive.
bit of that.
Oh, I love that. That is such a
Yeah.
good reminder.
Totally.
Yeah. So how has being an empath affected your parenting journey? I know.
That's a doozy. At first, when I was a new mom, it was really challenging for me when I was like in the thick of being a new mom for the first time and not being able or having the capacity to disassociate my emotions from my baby's emotions, because like for 9 months, you are one and then you're still one. So, what really helped support me in that is when I started microdosing. It allowed me to look at my empathy as an observer and really be like, wow, I can feel this chaos. I can not disassociate, but detach myself from all the overstimulation and the overwhelm, take a breath and say, that's not mine. And maybe that feeling of overwhelm from, parent to child creating the stimulus is able to be transmuted. So then I'm able to look at what's the trigger, the empathic thing. The microdosing helped me be able to slow down and peel the empathy off me when I couldn't see whose it was when I was in overwhelm.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was really great. And so as a parent, it's really helped me to be able to tap into what is my child's and what is mine. And that sometimes at the beginning was really difficult for me.
I have found as they've gotten older, it's almost more challenging for me now that they're older. And I think it's because as they grow, so my son is 8 and my daughter is 4, as they grow and they're starting to do things that will then trigger me from my own childhood. And I don't realize that I'm being triggered until I realize that I'm overreacting. And then I'll be like, hold up, wait a second. And I'll say to my kids, that was an overreaction. That was not your fault. That was me having big feelings. You did nothing wrong. This is not your fault. And just being able to really dissolve that for them, because what I've learned through my work, as you know, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm working with adults, and we often are going back to the root of belief systems that they hold. And the roots are in our childhood. The trauma comes from thinking that the environment and what's going on in it is your fault, especially as an empath. So if you have a memory from when you were a kid and something happened, you would be like, okay, I am responsible for the feelings of the people around me. It must be me, because children are naturally self-centered. And so when they have that feeling of like, oh, that was my fault, then in adulthood here, I get triggered by my kids just being kids. And then I realize, oh, that thing that you're doing that just triggered me was because I got in trouble for doing that thing when I was a kid. So that's labeled in my nervous system as dangerous.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. I relate to that like 120%. And you nailed it, really. And empathy with kids. Yes, exactly. Huge mirror back to my own childhood. And I'm like, not like, oh no, here we go again. But how can we stop this, look at it, and respond differently?
Absolutely. And when we do respond in a way that we don't like when I yell, because I was always like, I will never yell. I will be the mother who never, ever yells. Oh, I yell. I'm not prone to tears. So when stress and overwhelm take over my body, the way that my nervous system wants to release that is through yelling. And so then I will say to my kids afterwards, I'm really sorry I yelled. That must have been scary for you. That was not your fault. That was me having big feelings and being overwhelmed. That was not your fault. They can never make us yell. That was my nervous system responding to being overstimulated. And so when I can make sure that they understand that, then they're not going to feel traumatized by me yelling. Now, I'm not saying that I don't try not to yell. I try really, really, really hard. But on the times where I do end up yelling, it's the repair that's so important, and the focus of not your fault. This was not, you didn't do anything to make me yell. And I think that that is what we are doing differently. I'm not sure how it was with your parenting, but I do feel like this sandwich generation where we're the cycle breakers, where we're wanting to do things differently than we were parented. And then our kids are getting that different experience. Maybe every generation would feel the same. But what do you think about that?
I totally agree. Absolutely. We are such a generation of cycle breakers and got a great childhood, but for sure my parents yelled. And it's like they didn't know then what we know now about all of it. So definitely, I was the same. Like, I'm not going to be the parent who yells. And here I am, frustrated, overwhelmed, overstimulated, not knowing how to deal with it in those first few years. And now I finally feel like I'm getting my stride.
Cool.
But it's like taken a long time and a lot of inner self work to really look at those things that are our own triggers. They're not our kids, you know? You really hit the nail on the head.
Thank you. I always say to my clients, pay attention to your triggers, because a trigger is when you overreact to a situation. And if you're able to see that you've overreacted, that's a trigger. A trigger is like a signpost from our subconscious saying, we have healing work to do here. I always say to my clients, celebrate when you notice that you're triggered, write it down, and then we'll talk about that so that we can get to the subconscious root so that you can have freedom from that. And nothing triggers us more than a parenting journey, I think, because yes, it's so amazing, and it's such a gift, and it is the most challenging thing I have ever done is be a parent every single day.
Totally. I always, half the time, I feel like I'm raising myself and I'm like, oh, wow.
We are reparenting ourselves, aren't we?
Oh, fully.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So then, is your co-parent an empath?
Oh, absolutely. But he is like calm, cool, and collected. And I look up to him so much as a parent, you know, because he will say fuck in his head and not out loud.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He's so grounded and really good at practicing empathy, probably from his own childhood, because he's choosing to do things a different way. And it's so beautiful to see him as a parent. So I actually really look up to him as a parent, because when I'm having a challenge, like, how would you deal with it? And then he just comes in and it's like, oh,
Wow.
like, how do you do that, man?
And do you find that you guys have to spell each other off like that?
To just kind of tag team in and out?
So,
oh, for sure. We work together as much as a team as we can. And there'll be some days where I'm like, I need your help right now.
yeah. Because my husband and I are both empaths as well. And then we have 2 empathic children. And so when the feelings are getting really big and the patience is getting short, he'll step in and be like, go for a walk, go upstairs, go do whatever. And then I can do the same for him. And that's really important. Because I find too, just walking into another room and breathing a couple of times, when I come back, I'm good. Like, I'm clear and I'm able to come at it with a different energy, right?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I'm going to respond in a way that I know I will regret later.
For sure.
Cool. Could you talk a little bit more about microdosing for the listeners who might not know what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So microdosing is when you take a sub-perceptual amount of psilocybin. I've been doing this practice on and off for 4 years now. And sometimes I'm on a protocol depending on what I'm going through, what I'm feeling like I need support in. Definitely not a silver bullet. You need to be doing your work. So microdosing is going to bring to the surface things. Sometimes there would be days when I just feel like crying and releasing all day. And so it's really a medicine that you're going to build a relationship with and work with to have this beautiful outcome. My best description for myself is just a big mirror. It just helps me lift this mirror up and look at myself in and out. And it's been, this is such a beautiful medicine to support me on my adult life.
Wow, that's so cool. So did you find it challenging as an empath? And I also know that you're a projector in human design, which means you need to feel invited. Did you find it challenging to put yourself out there online?
Oh, yes. And you know what? I'm gonna be real with you. I still sometimes do. A lot of the time, Robyn, I feel like a repellent. And I know I'm not, but I just feel like a repellent.
What do you mean?
And it's this strange, I think it's a deep-rooted belief that nobody really wants to hear what I have to say. I struggle with imposter syndrome. I've got confidence. I'm not afraid to show up, but I'm always like, when it comes to sharing, like, something that's not silly or something that's more of my really opinion, I'm like, but who's going to want to hear that? So there are days when I find it really hard to show up, but I love it because I love to be seen. Because I'm also a 2/4 projector, it's like I'm the introverted extrovert. And there's no better description of me than that. It's like, hi, hello. I want to hermit away for like the next month.
I think that that's going to be
Yeah.
really encouraging for people to hear because you are so amazingly natural online. It looks like you were born doing like, and I
Mhm.
relate so much to that. And one of the reasons it took me so long to start a podcast, because I was like, who cares about what I have to say? Who cares about my opinion? No one's going to care. How is this going to be helpful? One of the biggest things in my life is that I love to be helpful. If there's information that I have that you will find helpful, I would love to share that with you. If there's information about my life that you would find helpful, I'd love to share that. But when I don't know if it's going to be helpful or not, then I get kind of shy about it in the sense that I'm like, who would want? So I totally relate to that. How did you work through that so that you could put yourself online?
Absolutely. I just kept showing up. Hair. Like, I just loved my hair career. So it all started when I just started to make hair tutorials. And then I just kept doing it, and I kept doing it because it was fun and it was a cool way for me to express myself. And then once I let go of hair, it evolved into something that it is now. I'm still not quite sure. Lifestyle. Hello, here I am. I am the niche. I don't know.
You are the brand.
But absolutely. And it's repetition, telling myself, yes, I'm worthy. And why not me? And I'm just like, you go, girl. You just keep doing it and you just keep having fun. And as long as I'm having fun, I'll keep showing up.
Oh, and that fun is so infectious. Then other people are going to have fun with you. When I was trying to get up the courage and the bravery to put myself online, when I came out of my long mat leave, I knew that when I put my business back out there and I was ready to take clients on again, I was like, I'm going to have an online presence. It is the way that it works now. When I was building a business before I went on mat leave, you did it all through word of mouth. It wasn't a big online thing. We had Facebook pages and that was it. You'd have a website. It's so different now. Like, we live online now. But the coolest part about that is if I'm sharing myself and what it is that I'm interested in, you are not limited to just where we live in this little town. It's the whole world that has access to it. Is it possible that there might be 5 or 6 other humans on the entire planet that might resonate with what I have to say? So that's how I busted through that, not feeling like anyone would care about anything that I had to say. I'm like, it's just a numbers thing. There truly must be at least even 5 or 6 people in the whole wide world who would care about what I have to say. So that helped me move through it. And then I also had to do some hypnotherapy on it because I had some huge subconscious blocks around being seen online. I could present to 550 people at an international fitness conference. That was fine. But when I went to put myself online, I was really, really scared of saying something wrong or that might hurt or offend somebody, being an empath, right? I don't want anyone to feel offended. But then I realized that with the online world, if they don't like what you're saying, they can just swipe on by. They can just keep going.
100%. Yes, absolutely. And there's something so vulnerable about putting your persona, you online. It's so raw and it's so real because we have people who could just say whatever they want and it's hurtful, especially as a highly sensitive empath. And so, like, that is intense. And if you don't have the support or the tools to be able to let that go, it can be really damaging for some people's mental health. I have friends who work in the content creation space, and some of the stuff that they've gotten, I'm just like, huh, that is wild. It's like the wild, wild west online. So I say the more we just continue to show up, shine our light, that gives other people the invitation to do the same. I think just that in itself is huge. And it's so important because we should just show up as we are and be our best self because that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that when we are kind to other people online, that puts that out into the energetic field to then support other people being more kind to other people. And I feel like if you feel negatively about somebody else's social media content, just don't follow. You don't have to say something mean. You don't have to do that. That helps nobody.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I find you to be such an inspiration. I'm so glad that you stepped into that because I do believe that you shining your light is such a ripple effect out into the world. So I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Robyn.
My pleasure.
Likewise.
I'd like to hear about your oracle cards. Would you share about that?
Absolutely. Okay, so Oracle cards. I'll just give you a quick background story because I've been into Oracle. I got gifted my first Oracle deck when I think it was 12, 13 from my mom. It was the Fairy Oracle from Brian Froud, and I still have that deck. And I just loved it. I loved tapping in. I loved the messages. I loved the daily guidance, and I always was practicing. And I thought one day that'd be so cool if I could make my own deck, but I can't draw. I can like write and have all these beautiful ideas. I didn't know how to do it. So last year I challenged myself. I said, Emily, you are capable of starting and finishing something on your own without help. So I challenged myself to create this deck, co-create this deck, because really I believe I was helped by all the beings who I invited in. I just sat in meditation and I said, who wants to be a part of this deck? And in my imagination, a hummingbird would come, and then there would be a spirit bear. And I just kind of ran with it. So the first deck is called Wildcard, and it's set in the BC forest at nighttime. And 44 sentient beings came in. I just sat with each one and I used my empathy, really, and my intuition. Like, how does that being make me feel when I sit with it in my imagination or meditation or still point, whatever you want to call it? And then I would just make little notes. And then I just started to craft little messages or the keywords or like an affirmation that was birthed from the message. And I taught myself how to get it printed, how to do all of it from start to finish on my own. And it took me over a year. And I sold out in under a year. And now I'm just about to launch the second deck and bring back the first deck.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank
this
you.
is cool because it really plays into this whole imposter syndrome thing, that feeling of, I don't know how to do that. I'm not good enough to do that. But a growth mindset then is saying, I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm going to figure it out. That's what you did with those I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm going to figure it out. Not who am I to do this? I will figure it out. And I have just gone through that with this podcast. I just taught myself how to produce and edit and figure out a podcast. So here we are. And I know that in a year from now, I'll look back and be like, ooh, that first episode really could, because I'm going to learn so much in this next year.
Oh, absolutely.
But it doesn't mean I can't
What a celebration.
start. Yeah, and it's just starting, I think, is the key.
Absolutely. Just start, even if you don't know what you're doing yet, because like, look at the beautiful outcome. Look what you've taught yourself and how much we've both grown in just starting that thing that was calling like from the heart, that pull that's like, I got to do this. I don't know how, but I'm doing it.
And it's that full body yes you talked about, because I've been wanting to do a podcast for a good 10 years. But I was like, I don't know what to share specifically. And so when this concept for the hypnotic empath came to me, I was like, that's it. And then it was just go, boom. And at my hypnotherapy conference that I was just at, I took a little workshop with this guy named Adam Cox. And after I did that, then that night I came up with the concept. I came up with the artwork. I did just like that. So, but it was that full body yes that I felt like it's time now. It's go time. So sometimes we can have a dream for a long time before it's go time. And that doesn't mean that dream will not come to fruition. It just is about timing.
Absolutely. 100% I agree.
How do we get those oracle cards?
Well, on my website, right now they're sold out, but when I relaunch, I just sent them to print. So I'm hoping to have them by the end of August at the latest. And so they'll be on my website, and then I'll have them wholesale for anybody who wants to bring them into their store or whatever.
What is your website? I'll put it in the show notes. But
oh, thanks, Robyn. It's emjPattison.com.
Awesome. And then how is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Probably to email me. Please do not DM me on Instagram. That place is like I don't look there all the time. So email address would be emjPattison@gmail.com.
Okay, great. I'll put that in the show notes as well. And one last thing that I would love to ask you. What do you wish that you had known 10 years ago?
Woo! What do I wish that I'd known 10 years ago? That it's okay for me to slow down.
Oh.
That I don't have to do everything all the time, all at once. that I can really just sit and savor the moment and not live so much in the future.
That's interesting because that's what empaths do, because we are so able to pick up it, and we can call it anxiety, where you're trying to anticipate what's coming forward so that we can circumvent the disaster, because empaths feel in their nervous system like they're the only ones that are going to be able to prevent disaster, because they're the only ones that can see that it is coming down the pipe. So that makes so much sense as you've learned to clear your energy and protect your energy and all that, that you're able to be more present in the moment.
Yeah,
Wow.
totally. Emily from 10 years ago, if you're listening.
And what a journey it
awesome.
is, right? To get to that place.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So what's coming
Beautiful.
up for you?
What's coming up for me, just this next Oracle deck, more awesome, fun growth and cool things with good Livin, working behind the scenes with the linking awareness. I also help my husband in his Trash Panda business, which is like farmhouse antiques, camping with the kids, just like life, man. And just trying to stay present because, I'm going to, hey, here I
Stay
am.
right here.
Enjoying life.
Amazing.
Biggest thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for sharing with everyone today. I think it's going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much.
Cool. All right, back at you, Robyn. Big
You
love.
too. Well, great to see you. Okay. Bye, Emily.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today on the Hypnotic Empath. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a 5-star review, or share with somebody who needs this kind of support. You can find more resources, hypnotherapy audios, and ways to work with me at robynholm.com. And don't forget, your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a gift. Stay rooted in your power, and I'll see you next time.